بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Uh, Today we're talking about reciting behind the Imam, right? And particularly Surah Al-Fatiha. Do I have to recite Surah Al-Fatiha behind the Imam? Okay, so we know that Surah Al-Fatiha generally is recited in every single unit of prayer. This is a rukun. It's a pillar of the prayer. According to the majority of the scholars. And there's an interesting khilaf in the school that we won't really entertain now about the jul and the kul that you see in Khalid, and you see it in the Risala, what that would necessitate. But okay, so we know the person is going to there's going to be an imam, and there's going to be people behind the imam. Then there's going to be someone that's going to be praying by themselves. So we have different situations. If you're praying by yourself, then no doubt you need to recite Surah Al-Fatiha in every rak'ah. The imam has to recite Surah Al-Fatiha in every rak'ah. But now, what we're discussing is the ma'mum, the one behind the imam. Does he or she recite Surah Al-Fatiha? So the Maliki opinion, and this is called al-Jumhur, the majority opinion, that you don't have to recite, or you don't recite actually when the imam is reciting. So you have to differentiate now. There's going to be out loud rak'at or out loud prayers, and then there's going to be silent prayers. So either way, in the Maliki school, you don't have to recite Surah Al-Fatiha behind the imam, according to the mashhur, the mu'tamad in the school. Obviously, it's mustahab, right? It's a lesser sunnah, mustahab, to recite when the imam isn't reciting. And it's going to be different for like dhuhr and asr, where it's silent. So it's mustahab to recite in those rak'at. And of course, like in the third and fourth of Isha and the last of Maghrib and so on. But you definitely don't recite when the imam is reciting in the out loud rak'at. That's for sure. And again, this is the majority opinion, contrary to the Shafi'is. And of course, the Hanafis and Hanbalis, they have their own way. The Hanafis actually don't recite at all, based on what I recall, behind the imam. And the Hanabila, they agree generally with the Malikiyya about reciting when the imam doesn't recite. But now we have the Shafi'i, because this is the Shafi'i opinion is apparent because you hear them reciting when the imam is reciting, or like whenever there's a break to be able to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. And I know some get annoyed by it. What are these people doing? And this actually, this seems to match at least some of the Salafis, based on Recall ibn Uthaymeen, agreed with this, and at least some of the Salafi, I can't say all the Salafis, that you have to recite Surah Al-Fatiha in every single rak'ah, even for the one behind the imam. So there's khilaf, and there's different situations to consider. But the mu'tamad of the Maliki school is, behind the imam, you don't have to recite, right, any of the rak'at. But it's mustahab, a lesser sunnah, to recite when the imam isn't reciting, right? And this is generally the majority opinion, right? But again, it's a valid, opinion of one of the four schools, the Shafi'is, if you hear them recite, right? But the problem is when one isn't Shafi'i and they do that, right? Especially if they're Salafi and they're doing that, then it's, alhamdulillah, at least they agree with one of the four schools. But it's interesting how they'll take that minority opinion, and they don't care about the Shafi'i opinion or not, though. I mean, it's just that's what they think the hadith means. Yes, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.